Welcome on back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 90 of the top 5 PvP battles. If you guys want to send in your own clips for the top 5, you can send them to KristoferESO at hotmail.com. And starting us off today, we have got Meaxy on that stamina sorcerer. You guys, if you have seen Meaxy play the Stam Sorc before, it is an absolute treat, and he's playing outside of the Carmilla outpost here, and he's just fighting a huge number of blue that are trying to take this outpost. Meaxy just dropping huge damage into them there, and they respond with quite a bit of pressure, and Meaxy just does a really good port behind using Streak there, and I love his positioning here. He did a really good roll there, just getting behind the player that he wanted to combo, got hit by an unfortunate stun, but right away, really good Streak placement, and just keeping himself well LOS'd and looking for the opportunity to hit these guys with a nice big smack again, getting behind the whole group there. A huge Dawnbreaker comes down. Meaxy goes for the D-swing and then cancels into the Executioner, bringing another blue player down. And the movement, again, just really fantastic. He's got quite a bit of movement speed. And then the Streak on top. Ooh, a nasty Midyear there just at the end of that Dark Deal. But it allows Meaxy to just continually to move behind these guys and make himself a very hard target for them to hit, and he's just doing a great job. Unfortunately, the blue players rezzing everybody very quickly here, and Meaxy just does a couple teleports away. I think he wants to try to split the group up just a little bit and see if they will follow him away from the tower here. He goes for that Streak out to the side, goes for a couple Dark Deals, gets a little bit of stamina back, and a lot of the blue follow. In fact, I think the entire group followed him up here. And he just turns and looks back at the blue group, runs towards them. A nice dodge again, just a lot of direction change as he makes those rolls, drops the Dawnbreaker and rolls through it, and then streaks back through the group, just forcing constant turnarounds from these guys. And it's buying Meaxy the ability to actually engage with this group. If he didn't have them constantly turning around and they could all smack him, he would definitely take an insane amount of damage very quickly. And he's doing a great job just kiting these guys out, but he realizes getting lower on stamina here, he's not going to be able to stick that out for super long. And look at that, part of the blue group splits away back towards the keep to keep sieging it, and Meaxy's got a few players left on top, gets the D-swing stun there, following up with the Dawnbreaker as the player tries to get away, and then a huge off-balance stun on that next player there. And Meaxy just quickly resets the buffs, throws the Vigor down, and then starts working on the next player as the Sorc just kind of beats on Meaxy. I like how he preemptively went for the Vigor, just knowing that he would need to keep the aggression up against that tankier player. But instead, he decides to streak in a couple times and jump on top of that enemy Sorc. The enemy player is putting quite a bit of pressure on him. You can see there were some players behind him, I believe, there. And Meaxy actually picking up a great kill on the door there. Goes for that big heavy attack, almost connecting for another kill on that next player. And wow, I just realized this was actually a blue outpost the whole time. So these blue had just recently flipped this, and Meaxy doesn't have any support from NPCs here at all. And that was a great streak back behind the pillar again, some Dark Deals. And Meaxy actually managing to pick up a few kills here. It looks like not all of the blue that he killed decided to respawn and run out the door. So he just does his work around the pole here. The blues just trying to put some pressure in, but Meaxy's way too fast on that Stam Sorc, man. Really good direction changing again. And here comes the Midyear. He just eats it, goes for the Dark Deal and the Vigor right away. And I think Meaxy's is just being a little bit patient here. He wants to try to get a good slam on this group to put the nail in the coffin. There was a great port behind. Big Dawnbreaker. The Executioners come down. This guy really slow to react. He goes down really quickly to that. The enemy Templar comes out jabbing. Meaxy's gets a great off balance off that D-swing there and catching him with the Execute to finish him. Another player going down, and look at this. A whole bunch of friendly players from Meaxy's coming around the corner there. And I think he honestly had that fight prior to them showing up. But moving on to our next clip, we have Xirks on his stamina Dragonknight, and he's hanging out outside of this keep here, just putting some pressure on these yellow, and the yellow players getting caught a little off guard with that leap from behind. Xirks managing to get a kill as well, but a lot of damage coming in from the yellow. Right away, they retaliate. Tons of AoE there. Tons of undodgeables too. Xirks just doing his best to just use those powerful DK heals, get back into safety here. And Xirks just resetting his buffs, trying to find an opening on one of the yellow players. Gets a good dot up on this guy here. He goes for that leap into the Execute, and one yellow goes down. A few of them actually turn back towards the keep, so it looks like Xirks only has 4 yellow, I believe. 3 yellow actually left on top of him here. and he just hacks the next one down right away. The enemy Necromancer there just going ham in his Colossus ultimate, spamming critical rush, but it doesn't look like he's designed to do too much damage. Xirks just kind of ignoring the tanky Necro, putting the pressure into the next player there, a huge leap to finish him off. And now he's going to turn and fight this Necromancer that he's out of that Colossus, and he just starts feeding him the D-swings, dotting him up as well. The enemy Necro just going into those heals, but Xirks putting out way too much damage over time. And now he moves on to the next target here. An enemy, looks like maybe a Nightblade. He didn't stealth up or anything, but he had that bow out. Xirks quickly throwing the leap down to bring him down. This guy attempting to go for the res, level 17. Oh man, this poor girl here, wrong place, wrong time. Looks like she actually wandered in from the other direction there. And more yellow coming up, coming down the side of the hill here. Xirks right away turns on this bow warden, hits the dot up on him, but he's just doing a lot of turning here, keeping his eyes open as to what's going on around him. And he goes back into cover. Unfortunately, a big frame dump there. I think there's just a big fight going on somewhere on the server, but Xirks manages to stick out a huge leap into the execute there and finishes off another player. And it looks like the yellow have piled up on him again though, and Xirks is just kind of pinned down in this location. He's using the terrain just to mitigate as much range damage as he possibly can. And his best bet here, he knows, is to just lure them into a spot where he can get a good burst on somebody without having to expose himself too terribly to all the yellow. And he just keeps rotating around the corner, finally getting a little bit of an opportunity on these enemy wardens, but they put quite a lot of pressure in, and there is another Nightblade in behind there. Xirks going into his sword and board ultimate, and then getting very aggressive, the D-swing into the executioner there, and he brings one player down, turning onto the bow warden right away. And the bow warden's caught with that off balance. Xirks gets him with that partially charged heavy, and then finishes him with the executioner as well, just as the rest of the yellow come around the corner. And look at this! The blue group just comes ripping through them, killing the yellow players there. And Xirks trying to be friendly to these guys. Unfortunately, the blue are having none of it, and they eventually get Xirks there, but a great fight nonetheless. And now for our next clip, we have got Hewbert on the Stamina Nightblade. And right off the bat, you saw he had just finished killing a blue player there, and he starts to try to combo out the next player, and he goes back into stealth after not getting that first Celine combo, hitting him with a nasty partial bow heavy into the ambush, the light attack, the surprise attack. That's a very, very good combo because you can stack it all together very cleanly. And then Hewbert moves on to the next target here, an enemy warden. This warden, though, has got some healing power, and Hewbert just keeps putting the pressure in, man. He's hitting him with those surprise attacks. The warden's health shooting right back up, and Hewbert decides, okay, we're going to switch targets here. He rolls to the back of the group, stepping outside of the totem, unfortunately mistiming that ambush and getting hit by that fear at the last moment, but he breaks it, hits the counter fear on the enemy player there, and manages to avoid the ultimate too. And Hewbert just doing a little bit of a kite game here. He's keeping that vigor up too. He knows that he's going to have quite a bit of pressure coming in. The silence unfortunately coming down, just making him not have the option to go for cloak for a little bit there. And he tries to recloak here. Unfortunately, just a lot of spam from these guys and constantly getting pulled by these DK chains. That is very difficult to deal with when you're playing a kitey medium armor build like a Stamblade. And Hewbert manages to get himself in kind of a safe spot. I like how he's just hugging the logs here because he wants to make sure if the DK is going to pull him, he has to be closer to Hewbert. So Hewbert has a little bit more of terrain to hide in. A huge combo on that guy there with the ultimate, the surprise attack. He goes down, and then a big fear, and Hewbert just following up with the pressure on the next player there, feeding him surprise attacks. That guy did not break the stun, so Hewbert just given the opportunity to quickly bring him down. And he interrupts the res there that other player was attempting. And he's just got 3 blue players inside of here. There are other blue players on that resource, though. And Hewbert just keeping the pressure on these guys. He goes for this player that's holding block. And this player here takes quite a lot of abuse. Hewbert unable to deal a lot of significant damage through that player's block, even though he's really low HP. Would have been a nice time, I think, to possibly have that execute, but it looks like Hubert's packing damage nonetheless on this thing. And he just goes for the ultimate on this player, hitting him with that fear. And now that the block's down, just a casual 12k spectral bow. Yeah, there he goes. Now Hewbert moving on to the next blue player. He just starts working this enemy Dragonknight. The DK just kind of spamming deep breath there. I think just to prevent Hewbert from re-entering stealth, but I don't think Hewbert has any intention of re-stealthing here. He just wants to keep the pressure on these guys and finish off the last couple ones, hitting him with that surprise attack stun and this spectral arrow. Beautiful stuff. Now moving on to our next fight, we have got Rizaux on his stamina Dragonknight. And he's hanging out outside of Velastris here. Of course, it's PvP Mayhem, and he's looking for all of these guys trying to get those boxes. And Rizaux right away just picking up a kill there. But the yellow players, they're not shy. They're jumping on him right away here, quickly trying to bring the pressure in. And Rizaux right away going into his sword and board ultimate, and then gets very aggressive with his D swing, just putting good pressure into this guy, clipping him with that off balance, and then that partial charged heavy after the roll there, connecting for a good kill on that nightblade, I believe, and huge damage coming in. That was a pretty nasty gank. Rizaux managing to roll it and get the heal in time. That big healing power on the DK. Rizaux just heading to better terrain here as the yellow continue to chase. And one Nightblade goes in stealth. He right away just goes, and I love how he holds his block right away. I think he expected the backstab from the Nightblade there. The Nightblade actually just retreated, is now sniping. But if the Nightblade had gone for the backstab, he wouldn't have been caught with that stun there and would have been able to turn very quickly. Nonetheless, again, going into that shield ult, taking advantage of the aggression, and a D-swing party on the next Nightblade there. He goes down as well, and Rizaux just managing to heal himself up and get to this rock and tree out here. And it looks like 6 yellow players on top of him. A huge leap to the player on the back, and he hits him with the dot up right away, trying to hit him with a couple well-timed heavy attacks into a couple other skills. Unfortunately, tons of pressure coming in from the other yellow players here. These guys are putting a lot of damage into Rizaux. And he again finds this enemy, I think it's a Dragonknight that's actually using a bow here. Rizaux tries to put the pressure in, but he's unable to stick enough simply because there's too much pressure from the rest of the yellows again. And Rizaux manages to find an opportunity here, goes for that leap, and finally finishing off that other DK archer. And he just resets his buffs, a moment of respite. No, not really, getting back behind the rock. There's a lot of ranged attackers here, a lot of snipers. They're putting a lot of damage over time. Look at his poor health bar just whittle away. And Rizaux just pounding those heals, man. He manages to get a really good vigor there. And the enemy player going into his, it looks like the Warden ultimate. Rizaux caught in a really nasty snare. And he's able to survive it, but man, that definitely cost him some stamina, just chunking that out with block and heal. And again, getting a really nice kill in that sword and board ult. He's just taking advantage of the aggression while he can keep that block up. And the enemy players quickly going for the res there. It looks like Rizaux, I don't know if he saw it or not, but he definitely, I don't think, could have gone out there to try to stop it. He took a really nasty stun from that Nightblade again. These guys are putting quite a lot of pressure in. Rizaux getting dropped to like 10% hit points, getting into that sword and board ult. This time, just getting his buffs reset here. Finding this player not paying attention, quickly putting the damage in with the D-swings, finishing him off with the Executioner. And Rizaux just doing quite a hard fight here just to keep these bodies down. He hasn't actually managed to keep any of these yellow from being revived after he's killed them. And he finally manages to get his first bash there. And he goes for pressure on this guy around the corner. It looks like actually that other player there, no, he's still on the ground. But the Nightblade does, I think, want to attempt to go for that res again. Rizaux just continuing to keep the defenses up. Gets a good D-swing combo there. And he goes into the sword and board ult. He wants to try, I think, to stick this kill out. Feeding the guy the dots again. Going for those executioners. The enemy player trying to escape with cloak. And the other player there actually throwing the guard on too. It's not enough. Executioner's going to cut through that. And Rizaux just gets the bash on that enemy tanky player there. Right away dotting him up. And then feeding him the D-swings, and this guy's just holding block. He's got to have a little bit more healing power. Rizaux slowly wearing him down, and there it is, into the Necro ultimate. That should be enough to heal him back up. And it looks like, unfortunately, that DK did get rezzed, and he's back in the fight here. He jumps on top of Rizaux with the leap, and Rizaux just right away back to kiting. He's got that Necro kind of chasing him around here. And honestly, even though the Necro isn't doing a ton of damage, the body block from the Necro is really annoying because he's super huge. And it makes it hard for Rizaux to really target anybody else. And he tried his best to put the pressure into that Stamblade. Unfortunately, he ends up stealthing away. And Rizaux switches onto these two on top of him here. There's a big dizzy swing into the leap. A really nice combo. And one of the players going down. The Nightblade jumping on top of him again. That Nightblade has got a nasty, nasty gank. Holy crap. Rizaux taking huge damage from that Nightblade. And I don't know what just happened there. I think the heavy attack just didn't register or something. But it looks like he might have even been desynced a little bit. The Nightblade going down to that combo, and now it is just the last player left here. Rizaux with the leap into the execute. He takes it home. And finally, guys, for our last fight today, we have got MyTTiX on the Stamina Dragonknight. And yeah, a lot of Stam DK, man. I swear, Stam DK is like maybe the best class in the game right now. MyTTiX is going to show us just what it can do. He's hanging out in IC, and he's got a ton of yellow here that are trying to kill the boss, and MyTTiX is not going to give them a second to breathe. He tries to put some big pressure there with the dot up. There's the leap, going for that execute, and one yellow goes down. MyTTiX just resetting the heals and everything. The yellow's actually quickly transitioning to DPS the boss down. Definitely not a good call, because it just lets MyTTiX rotate on this player in the back, and that looked like it was the healer, and that is not a good thing. MyTTiX quickly taking him down. And now he's just going to reset the heals here. And the enemy players finally killing the boss. That was actually a very fast burn. And they switch to MyTTiX here. MyTTiX quickly getting that interrupt. And I love how he's using this little bit of terrain to just LOS these guys. He just goes up and down the stairs. They can't target him with ranged attacks. A big leap on that guy who looked like he was attempting to get that res again. And MyTTiX just keeping up the pressure here. He finds the next target that's a little bit lower HP. A barrier coming in for the enemy group there. MyTTiX actually taking quite a bit of pressure now as they have started to focus him. They were in a bit of disarray at the beginning there, just trying to pick dead people up. And yeah, MyTTiX actually taking a lot of pressure here. He's just going into kind of full defensive rotations, trying to prevent these guys from getting the res. And oh man, he pulls out the greatsword into that leap. He wants to get another kill here. He keeps dotting them up, but it's not looking so great, man. Unfortunately, they did get the res there, and MyTTiX has to give up on this position. It's way too much pressure, and he knows he's not going to be able to stick that out. So he just heads back into the tunnel here, gives himself a little bit of a moment to get some resources back. He didn't really need it that much. It was just more, I think he wanted a better opportunity to open on this yellow group, and there it is. Some of them split away, a big leap. One player goes down. The other player that's hit by the leap there going down as well. And MyTTiX, just like that, has got two bodies on the ground, and the yellow are a lot more spread out now. And MyTTiX doing his best to dot this guy, going up, going for the res. Unfortunately, this guy's got some durability. MyTTiX is not going to be able to stop him without bashing him, really. And the rest of the players going for pressure on MyTTiX here. Here comes the incoming Midyear. He gets the block, and right away into the Sword and Board ultimate. And is MyTTiX going to try something aggressive? No, I don't know. No, he's not. It's too dangerous, man. There are way too many yellow players here. He's in a very exposed position. And he's just kind of doing a little bit of kiting and preventing these guys from picking up the bodies. So he's not really putting anybody down, but he is preventing the fight from going more poorly, I guess, for him. And there you see another bash. And it looks like all of these players have conglomerated on the next boss here. MyTTiX goes for that big leap, and the boss goes for that big smash AoE. MyTTiX taking some pressure again from these guys, and he heads back towards this tank. He did manage to get one res up there, and MyTTiX just going to dot him up, go for the D swings. This guy's got a ton of hit points, though. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Yellow slowly converging on him here. MyTTiX sees it coming, rotating the heals and the buffs. Really good dodges there, too, are just avoiding a lot of damage. And there you see a nasty stun, and his hit points quickly shooting down. Yeah, MyTTiX knows if he gets caught by the front end of that thing as they're charging through, it is not going to end well for him. So he's just being careful in the tunnel. He charges down here, gets a good dot up. There's the leap into the execute. One player going down in the tunnel here. MyTTiX quickly switching to the next target, and he dots him up well. He goes for the execute. Another guy going down, and the rest of the yellow retreat out the end of the tunnel to where they're by the rest of their group, and it just kind of forces MyTTiX, if he wants to keep killing them, to expose himself again. He gets hit by a really nasty stun there. A super quick reaction into that roll dodge and break free. And MyTTiX managing to just sneak on out of that. I mean, had that been a half second later, he would have been dead. And he's just being patient here, I think. He knows that that group is incredibly dangerous if they're all bunched up. So he goes down the tunnel and he just patiently waits for them to slowly trickle out. The first player wanders in here. MyTTiX just gives him the business. He goes down right away. Dotting up the next player that comes in here. This guy's putting some pressure on MyTTiX as well, but MyTTiX has so much damage with his dots there. The enemy player just can't out DPS him at all and doesn't go to the heals fast enough. And now it's the tank's turn. MyTTiX sees the tank coming. Look at all the yellow coming around the corner. And MyTTiX goes for that roll, absorbing the Meteor at the end of the roll. I think it was still a good call, though. Had he been hit by that Meteor closer to where all the yellow were, it could have been really bad. And he gets back up to the top here. Yellow slowly trickling out the bottom of the tunnel still, too. He goes for that leap, actually knocking one yellow off the edge. I think that's good because it just helps break the group up a little bit more. And MyTTiX just very slowly giving up the ground here. He knows he can't really hold if the yellow charge into him. But if they keep following him, he can spread the group out. And look at this, one yellow player caught, left alone from everybody else. MyTTiX goes for the dot up. There's that dizzy swing into a very fast partial charged heavy for the stun right away. And he brings that guy down, finding the other kind of late to the party yellow player here who's trying to get through the tunnel to safety. MyTTiX just dots him up. The enemy player right away just going for his resto ult, and MyTTiX finally waiting out the ult, goes for that leap into the executes. And this Sorc does the best job he can to stay alive, but I'm going to be honest, he has to turn and counter stun MyTTiX. If he just lets MyTTiX rotate like this, he's not going to be able to out heal that damage. He goes down. MyTTiX, hungry for more, heads back towards the tunnel here. It looks like this guy had just been picked up. MyTTiX quickly puts him back on the ground. And then the rest of the yellow, I believe, have gone further into the sewer. Look at, here's the tank, MyTTiX's best friend, who's rezzing everybody before. He just feeds him the dizzy swings. And the enemy tank just doesn't have any healing power, which is pretty surprising considering how durable he is and how many hit points he has. He just didn't have the option to really heal himself up alone. So caught by himself, he goes down, and that gives MyTTiX free reign to fight the rest of the group without worrying about that guy rezzing everybody. He puts big pressure into that first player. A really nasty counter stun comes in, but the AoE from the dot there actually finishing off that yellow player. These guys all right away converge and they want to go for the res. They definitely should be focusing on MyTTiX right now. He goes for a big leap on top of them, almost killing this player there, catching him with the executioner at the end of the second roll. And now it's just two players left. I think one of the yellow players ran out of here too right away. And MyTTiX just feeds this guy the dizzy swings. He gets hit by that stun. MyTTiX just resets the dots on him. The enemy player trying to vigor it away. So much pressure from that Dragonknight. He goes down as well. And it's just the last player left. MyTTiX managing to finish off, I think, the entire group. And finally, guys, for our bonus clip, we have got MBW, or Major Butt Whooper Gaming, bringing us some amazing Magblade bombing. As always, a massive thank you to everybody who sent their clips in to be featured in today's episode. Be sure to check out all of these awesome content creators. We've got links to their channel down in the description below. And of course, if you guys want to send in your own clips for the top 5, or if you want to send a build to be featured on the channel, you can send that to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. Check out KristoferESO.com for written guides to all of my builds, as well as a hub for all of my ESO content. You can catch my live gameplay on Twitch, and of course, give me a follow on Twitter if you guys want to keep up to date with what's going on in my life. We're sponsored by What the Fast. They're a VPN for gamers. They can give you better ping to your favorite games, and they are free to try for the first month. Link down below in the description for you guys. And then last but certainly not least, a huge thank you and a massive shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. Without you guys, I couldn't do this job, so thank you so much, everybody, for supporting. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching today. As always, I look forward to doing some more top 5 with you guys, and I'll see you next time. Have a great night, everybody.